After traveling to more than 100 countries and spending more than 100 days sitting on an airplane, today I'm going to share the 3 best airlines that I love to fly with. And these are the airlines that are also going to be the best for business and first class, and also the best for points redemptions. Now, let's go ahead and get started. Over the years, I've accumulated millions of hotel and airline miles, and today I want to share all the secrets I've learned from doing this over the past decade. From flying the world's longest flight on Singapore Airlines, a shower in the sky on Emirates, and to the low end of Ryanair flights for $5, I've flown it all. But today I want to focus on the best and most luxurious airlines to fly on, and especially to use for points redemptions. Now, if you're not familiar with travel hacking or redeeming points for first and business class flights, it's a really great industry, and it's a best way to actually go ahead and fly in first class and business class, since some of these tickets can cost up to $10,000 to $15,000 per one way. But after this video and at the very end, I'm going to show you how you can get those $10,000 and $15,000 flights for practically free. You might be surprised by some of these airlines, but I'll basically share what I like and what I don't like about each one of them. One of the best airlines in the world is Qatar Airways, and this is probably the airline that I've flown the most with, and especially with their Q suites and their business class product. Again, the reason I love them is because they have one of the best business class redemptions out there with points. So typically I'm accumulating points through Chase Reserve cards or Chase business cards. This is a great one-to-one transfer partner where I can exchange them from Chase over to British Avios and then over to Qatar. It's a little bit complicated, but it can be the difference between spending, let's say, 70,000 points for a first or business class redemption or 700,000 points. So again, it is worthwhile to figure this stuff out. And the thing I love about Qatar is not only just the good value for actually booking it, but the interface and site and everything about the whole process from start to finish is very clean. Now, finding flights, finding redemptions, and finding all of these details is really easy on their website and their mobile app. That's one thing that I absolutely love about Qatar, is the system is very easy. The second thing I love about them is they usually have pretty decent award availability, and I'm typically using this type of stuff for really long haul flights. Flight times that are usually 10 to 15 hours long. And there's a lot of good options for me to fly from places like Doha to anywhere in the US. They have at least 10 major hubs. And I'm typically flying through LA, Chicago, New York, or they have a lot of other options out there as well. And there's usually pretty good availability. So when you're actually going ahead and redeeming, one of the big hangups now on a lot of these airlines is the taxes and fees. Again, you might transfer hundreds of thousands of points to book a $10,000 flight for free, but they might tack on hundreds or even thousands of dollars in taxes and fees. One of the things I love about Qatar Airways is they haven't really done this, where other airlines that I'm going to talk about later have actually made this redemption process a lot more clunky and a lot more expensive. Meaning you might get down to the redemption, but on that last step, they might charge you $500, $600, maybe $1,000 for fees, where Qatar Airlines usually charges, under $100 of fees and taxes. So it's a really good thing to consider when you're going ahead and redeeming your points. Now, once you're on Qatar Airways, and again, the airport in Doha is one of my favorites to actually transition. I wouldn't say Doha is my favorite place to spend a few days, so I'm going to share that a little bit later on what is my favorite place to spend 2 or 3 days. But Doha Airport is absolutely amazing. The lounges, the interface, the design, and just kind of the ease of access of getting around everywhere. It seems like it's not super complicated and very streamlined, meaning transitioning there for 5 or 6 hours is pretty nice. Spending the night there is something that I do a lot, unfortunately. And because I fly business, they have some really great family areas where you get a couch or essentially a bed to sleep in for free. You get really nice meals and showers. So the airport there is top-notch, the lounges are top-notch, and that's one of the reasons I love flying through there, because they make things easy. Qatar Airways and Q Suites are the best bang for the buck because they offer such a good high-quality service From the food, the seat, the design, and just the overall quality and aesthetics, I love everything about Qatar Airlines. Now, again, I don't think it's the best business class product out there, but it's definitely top 2 or 3. And especially when you value it for the price, it is the best. When you actually compare it, the amount of points you need with the taxes and fees and the quality and service, it outperforms just about every other airline out there. So overall, you can see why Qatar wins some of the best airline awards every year, because it really is one of the best airline out there. And especially if you're flying as a couple, they have a really cool QC thing where essentially you can combine these seats down. And I'll put a photo here where you essentially have a full overall bed, which is awesome. And again, if you're on an empty flight and you're sitting in that row, you can actually ask them to do this. Again, it's really going to vary on how much of a hassle it is, but typically you can turn this configuration on. And again, if your flight's empty, make sure you ask, because you never know. And guys, if you learned something new there, you're going to love this next part. I've partnered up with Amazon's Audible to give you a free copy of my #1 best-selling book, Global Career: How to Work Anywhere and Travel Forever. Global Career has been featured in prestigious publications like Forbes, CNBC, Entrepreneur Magazine, and even Lonely Planet. And with over 500 positive reviews, this book has helped hundreds of thousands earn from anywhere. To get your free copy and start a 30-day free trial of Audible, all you have to do is visit globalcareerbook.com/audio today, or just scan the QR code on the screen here. One of the most famous airlines out there is Emirates, and does it actually live up to the reputation? I've had the pleasure of flying first class, business class, and economy class on Emirates and all these airlines today. And again, they do things so well at every single level. Again, their economy class is probably better than some of the premium economy on most international airlines or most American airlines. And the thing I love about Emirates is they do everything so well, and it's a unique experience that they're pretty much over the top. From caviar to pajamas to designer luxury goods for flying first class. They have some other really cool features on their first class A380 product. You get this really cool bar in the sky, which I'll leave a photo for here. You can take a shower on the airplane, which is also really cool. And they have these enclosed suites, which again, they look a lot more closed off than you can imagine, but they kind of come up to, let's say, the chest height of the airline attendants. But it really depends. You're not going to have full privacy. And again, that's something to note for all these airlines. The photos can be a little deceptive. Basically, most of the airlines I'm mentioning here, they have a lot of privacy, a lot more privacy than other business class products, but it's not full privacy. Most of them are going to come up to around the chest height, so people can see in your little box, just to keep that in mind. So the things I love about Emirates is they go over the top. They deliver some of the best food, the best service, the best quality seat, and just overall the best experience. The thing I love about Emirates is flying through Dubai for 2 to 3 days is a lot more fun. There's just so many cool activities, from riding in a helicopter, skiing inside of a mall, or just trying out some of these high-end sort of things. Again, I wouldn't love Dubai for much more than 2 to 3 days, but if you've never been there, it's worth stopping and spending a couple days there. The main Emirates terminal is fantastic. The lounges there are also spectacular. But the downside to Emirates, and this is the reason that I choose Qatar over Emirates most of the time, is because of the crazy fee structures. About a year ago, they implemented some new fees and taxes that essentially made it a little bit less appealing to fly through there. And right now I'm based in Tbilisi, Georgia, where there's direct flights to Doha and to Dubai. But if I was going to fly through there, I would have to fly on their low-cost airline to Dubai through a terminal that is kind of annoying to transfer through, go from that terminal to the main terminal. And it's just a bigger, clunkier process than where if I'm flying from Tbilisi to Doha, I can fly in business class. I don't have to leave the airport. I'm in the same airport. It's a lot more streamlined, and it's going to be a lower points redemption. So you're getting a little bit better streamlined experience for connecting to the two airports. And especially for this particular flight, when I'm flying to the US, you know, I want to make it quick. I want to make it simple, and it's just a lot easier than flying through Dubai. Now, the main reason why I choose Qatar is the fee structure. I'm basically flying to Miami, and for that same sort of flight structure, it would have cost about $700 or $800 in fees to fly through Dubai. And the hack that I found for figuring out how to get around this crazy fee structure is to just book a flight from Miami to somewhere in Europe. Depending on the airport, they might not charge as high fees, but anytime you're connecting through Dubai, they're essentially going to have these much higher fee structures. Hopefully they change this, or if you found some sort of workaround, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. So overall, Emirates lives up to the hype. Again, I think overall they check the most boxes. And if you're not considering price, points redemptions, or these fees, I would choose Emirates almost every time, depending on where I'm flying to, what route it is, and how easy and streamlined the connections are, especially if I wanted to spend a few days in Dubai. I just booked the world's longest flight on one of the world's best airlines. And it only cost me $12 to fly in business class. I'm gonna be flying around 20 hours from JFK out to Singapore and then Singapore over to Bangkok. And the airline I'm talking about is Singapore Airlines, one of the most luxurious airlines out there. And the thing I love about Singapore Airlines is it's a really good points redemption, meaning I was able to book this entire trip for just about 100,000 Chase points, and I was able to transfer it over from Chase directly to Singapore Airlines, make the booking. Now the downside, the things I didn't love about this booking process were it was a little clunky and it took like 5 or 6 days to actually transfer points over, where transferring over to Qatar from Avios is instantaneous. Meaning I found the availability in December for this flight, and it was a very limited and low availability, meaning I had to check multiple different cities to find this opening. And to actually go ahead and book it, I was a little nervous because if it was going to take me 5 or 6 days to get the points over, there was a very high chance that this flight that I wanted wouldn't be there in a week. So what I did to resolve this is I actually called up Singapore Airlines, asked them to put a hold on the flight for me, and guess what? They said no. So I hung up, I tried again, and this is one of the tactics that I always recommend is hang up, dial again. I hung up, dialed again, sort of took a different approach, asked for a manager, and they were actually able to hold the flight for me for when I was able to go ahead and book this about 5 or 6 days later when the point transfer actually showed up. Now, the reason this is tough because it was in December, it's a very low availability for these business class redemptions. So I was able to lock in one of these flights for a really good price. And the thing I love about Singapore Airlines is they just do a lot of things great. Their airport is one of the most luxurious and one of the best airports in the world. So I'll be looking forward to spending more time there and also checking out some of their really unique lounges and experiences inside. So why didn't I vote Singapore as #1? Considering some of the things that I'm not super stoked about, I'll go through a few rapid fires on things I like and things I dislike. The thing I dislike about Singapore Airlines business class, and one of the cool things about this plane is it's going to be about 18.5 hours. So you want to be comfortable. You want to make sure that you have all the things that you want. They don't really seem to have all those crazy amenities that Emirates has. Maybe on some of their different routes, but on this route, there's no bar, there's no shower, there's nothing like that. But unfortunately, there's still some really great stuff. Like you can book a chef, you can kind of pre-book some of your meals. The business class seat and cabin looks extremely nice. The airline staff is also top-notch. So again, there is a lot of positives about Singapore Airlines, but some of the downsides that I've seen from flying them and just kind of this particular route is the seat, and particularly the kind of structure where your legs are going into a slot. It's kind of a small slot. So like the other airlines that have a lot more room for your feet, Singapore Airlines, and at least this structure, I'll put a picture of what this kind of looks like. Again, since I'm 6'3", this is something to consider, especially if you're taller. So we'll see how this seat structure kind of works out for me, and hopefully it won't be too bad. And the trick to overcoming this is the bulkhead seats actually don't have this little slot. So I'll kind of show the difference between here, but let's say about 95% of the seats have this kind of weird configuration. And that's the biggest complaint I've seen from people with Singapore Airlines. But overall, all three of these airlines are absolutely top of the notch, and again, are gonna be the best airlines out there if you wanna go ahead and experience luxury in the sky. Now guys, if you wanna figure out how I was able to learn all of these things over the past 10 years, I'm gonna leave a link below where you can actually go ahead and start learning about travel hacking and how to get free flights and free hotels around the world. This is how I'm able to fly first class, business class, stay in the Maldives for absolutely free. So again, if you learned something new in this video, make sure you subscribe for new videos I'm putting out every single week.